This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And tonight we watch Sex in the City 2. While wrestling with the pressures of life, love, and work in Manhattan, Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte join Samantha for a trip to Abu Dhabi, where Samantha's ex is filming a new movie. Let's watch. Surf's up, dude.
Whoa!
Here, wait, I've got some noise. You ready?
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Wait, hang on.
Is that it?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Wait, why?
What? This is obviously excellent podcasting.
I thought it'd be like streamers and balloons and stuff.
Oh.
Like, Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So it's a bit of a rough start to the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I didn't play that off of my phone. That was totally organic. Happy New Year.
This is the dumbest episode. This is the dumbest start to an
We've
episode.
barely started.
I know. And yet.
Just trying to make it festive.
No, I like that. 'Tis the season.
Not anymore.
No. It is not the season.
We're a bit past the season.
Well, you know, they don't know that. They might.
Apparently January is the highest rate of suicides.
Wow.
Like it has it, yeah. I feel like a lot of people just wake up on January the 1st and they're like, wow, a whole year. Nope. And I get that. I woke up on the 1st of January devastated.
Yeah, same, really.
Yeah, we had to like put ourselves back together.
Yeah.
After a very strange New Year's Eve. But
Brooke got us
gardening helped.
Gardening and Brooke getting us fresh fruit really
Yeah,
helped.
and then reading in the garden as well kind of just put my mind back together. But it was a very rough start to the year.
Yeah, I showed them Atlantis and then we all burst into tears. Which, that's not a movie that makes you cry.
Yeah, it just didn't make me feel better.
No, it didn't.
Turns out if you spend all of your serotonin the night before, you wake up feeling shocking.
Yeah.
But we're here, we feel better.
Yeah.
And it is the not quite exciting beginning to 2021 as COVID cases still creep around New South Wales and Victoria, and both the states blame each other for it.
Yeah.
But we're here and things might be okay, maybe. Who knows? I'm not making any promises, sorry guys.
Yeah.
After 2020, it's hard to go into a new year being like, it's going to be amazing.
And this is also the first time in our lives we can look at a year and go, wow, there's 52 more bad movies to watch.
Yeah.
We have contractually, legally obliged to watch.
In your own words, yes.
Or at least 51 more, because we've already watched one.
Yes, we have. But yeah, Happy New Year, Michelle.
Happy New Year.
Here's to more terrible movies. I've made another vow to myself. I didn't say that I had that many resolutions, but I did end up making a bunch of resolutions in the end.
Cool.
But a new resolution is that I would like to watch one new film a day, starting today.
Wow.
Starting today. And I would like to I would like to finish a book a week.
Jesus.
Ideally, I would like to do 3 books a week, but that's really pushing my time.
Yeah.
I don't have that time.
No, I mean...
If I had all the time in the world, I would watch 3 movies a day and read 3 books a week.
When are you going to have time to hang out with Michelle?
Who?
Michelle, me.
Never heard of her.
God damn it.
Sorry, too busy in my art, with my books and my thinking things. You ever think, Michelle?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We're well aware of this. You once
There's
described
nothing
me...
going on in that little noggin at all.
You once described me as the dumbest smart person you know.
I stand by that. Yeah. You're a genius and you're so stupid.
And that's the energy I want to bring to 2021.
I think that I kept existentializing about something you said when we were out a couple of weeks ago. And I talked about it at great length with you on New Year's Eve, where we had, in your words, gone from one cave to another. Yeah. We'd left our house to go into a different...
Because our house, the skylights broke in a hailstorm, so they've been paved over with more corrugated iron.
Paved over, yes. We live in a very dark house at the moment waiting for repairs, and we went from one cave to a very dark pub, and you were like... It brought back the memory of us going out a couple of weeks ago, and as you left the club, you went, yeah, I'm gonna go home. We're not really doing anything. And I kept thinking about that at the pub. I was like, fuck, we're really not doing anything. We're just doing the same shit we do at home in a pub.
Yeah.
This is weird. That really played on my mind for a while. This year, my resolution is to do things.
Nice.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, there we go. I can help out.
I mean, I guess what you mean by that is like to do something is to like learn something or engage in something.
Yeah.
But socializing is also a thing.
Well,
and being in new places is
it
also
can
a
be,
thing.
but we weren't really socializing. We were more sitting and observing the socializing.
But that was for a lot of specific reasons as well that we don't need to get into.
That's true.
Some mind-altering substances might have contributed to that. Either way, here we are, and we have a whole load of fresh, new, bad, fun, zany, zesty, sexy, flirty, malicious, vicious movies for you. And horny. That's the most important one.
I think this year will be even better than the last. And I think
that's easy to accomplish.
I think that's easy because, for one thing, you know, we're new to this, so we had some rough episodes. So I think we're improving. But also, I feel like some of the movies this year are going to be real proper, good, old-fashioned, bad movies.
Fuck yeah. And also, shout out to all of our listeners so far. Mostly that is friends and family, and we adore you for listening to our dumb little podcast. Special shout out to friends from Sydney and friends from work in particular. You're all very supportive. Love you all.
Yeah.
I work with some great people. They're lovely. Thank you for listening.
I work as a freelancer, so I just email ghosts all day. But thank you to the ghosts I email.
Yeah.
Don't know if you listen.
Our ghost listeners are the highest demographic. Wow, I was going to say
Nailed it.
democracy. My brain is processing slowly today.
It's an excellent start.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you're back with your trademark coffee, and I'm actually off coffee for a little bit.
Yeah, you've had too much coffee.
Because I was drinking like 4 to 6 coffees a day for a few weeks there because I was so stressed. And just not taking any time off. And then I kept getting splitting headaches, weirdly enough. So I resent that coffee controls me, and I don't want it to tell me what to do. I want to drink coffee because I choose.
I feel like I've led you down this dark hole.
I know.
When I met you, you would never drink coffee, and I really just led you along this twisted path.
There was this one blissful period where I drank just tea. And not just black tea, but also green tea, white tea, peppermint tea in particular, still my fave.
Now you drink more coffee than I do.
Yeah.
When I was in film school, I was drinking 9 shots a day, and I was crazy. Yeah. I was anxious and neurotic and paranoid, and I was working really hard, don't get me wrong. I had a passion and a vigor, but I was always shaking.
Yeah.
Always. I was so jittery.
Whereas I decided the times in my life where I've really needed to go out and do stuff. No, that's not when I'm drinking coffee. It's when I really need to just sit down in my home office as an editor and work. That's when I need 9 coffees.
That's when you need 9 coffees. Exactly. This week we watched Sex and the City 2.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucked. You watched me as soon as the film was over. I just like leaned over the keyboard waiting for the film to end, and then I just slammed the spacebar to pause it and turn it off.
I feel like this podcast has the ability to constantly surprise me because I, for whatever reason, despite it being lower on the list, was not expecting it to be this bad.
Yeah, we turned to each other and I was about to say, "Do you feel like they're getting worse?" And I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's going to be a trend."
There is a certain accuracy to this list.
There is.
They are getting worse.
As flawed as it can be, and as many films that have like a political agenda skewing the reviews.
Yeah,
it's not bad. They're right. These are bad films that are steadily getting worse.
Except Rawan and Vampire in Brooklyn. Those were done dirty.
Shouldn't have been. Yeah, they were. They definitely were. This was fucking awful. And it was 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the longest we've had to watch.
Yeah.
It was really long.
I kept checking the time to see how much we had left. And when I realized we were halfway through, I just wanted to scream. I was like, I remember kicking my legs into the air like a fucking child because I wanted it over. I was like, I could do anything with my time.
I just can't believe that the second Sex and the City movie was a tale that needed 2.5 hours to be told of them going on a holiday. By the way, they go on a holiday a full 60 minutes in.
Yes. So I was thinking a lot about the structure of this film, and like here's a couple of details about this film. So it was the sequel to the Sex and the City movie, which came out in 2008. This film came out in 2010, and it was directed by the same guy that did the first film, and his name is Michael Patrick King. And Michael Patrick King, he wrote and directed both these films.
Oh, okay.
He's a TV writer only, which explains why this film felt like 2 episodes pushed together into one feature.
It did a bit.
It felt like 2 Sex and the City episodes where they were in the city, and then the second one was they were in Dubai.
Yeah.
Sorry, they were in Abu Dhabi. Oh my God. But they literally get there at the midpoint.
Yeah.
So it's 2 episodes.
It is.
But I was reading about him, and all he's really worked on is Sex and the City, the TV show, 2 Broke Girls, which also kind of sucks, and The Comeback with Lisa Kudrow, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, he's only worked on bad TV shows. I mean, Sex and the City was good.
Yeah.
And let's just say off the bat here, we've never really watched Sex and the City. And I want people that listen to this, if you guys are fans of Sex and the City and you have things to say or tell us, email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
Yeah, I realized while watching this movie actually that I've seen more episodes of Sex and the City than I thought because my mum always really liked it.
My mum liked it too. And there is, like, that show is great, and it was revolutionary in a lot of ways. And, like, it appealed to a lot of middle-aged women that needed content. And it was groundbreaking, the way that they spoke so openly about sexuality and romance and being young single women in a city. The problem is it ages badly. And as they get older and more entitled and have more money, you can sympathize with them less. Because by the end of the show, they're not single women anymore. They are married women with fancy apartments and husbands that also have a very high-paying corporate job.
Yeah.
It's not relatable anymore.
They're all filthy rich. The 2 of them with kids have live-in nannies.
Yes.
It feels like I'm watching the Clinton administration. Like, when American leftists talk about the difference between them and liberals, like modern Democrats, I only vaguely get it, but now I get it. I really get it. This has mad Turnbull energy.
They are despicably wealthy and entitled women, and you can't like them. You can't relate to them. So you watch the film just, like, growling and grimacing at the screen.
And they constantly think they're being super cool and progressive about race and sexuality, and they're really, really not.
Oh. I have a lot of good reviews for you today. I have more reviews than I've almost ever had because people so viscerally hated this film.
I really thought that when we were watching the whole gay wedding sequence where they really wanted to show us how a gay wedding was a triumph for 4 white women, I thought that was going to be the peak of it being a bit problematic. And
but then they went overseas.
Yeah, then they went to Abu Dhabi and they really...
Then there were 4 women in the Middle East.
They had a thing or two to tell me.
I'm going to get into the overview for you nice and quickly. It's kind of long because it was bananas. The whole thing was insane.
Bananas.
All right. This is my overview. 2 years have passed since we last saw the gang. Samantha is attempting to delay menopause. Miranda is preoccupied with a job she hates. Charlotte's nanny has big tits and she fears her husband will cheat on her. Carrie and Mr. Big run into some marital issues as they begin to settle into quiet married life. Miranda quits her job to focus on her family. Charlotte is too overwhelmed by being a mother to fire her nanny. Mr. Big proposes to Carrie that he and her should take 2 days away from each other a week to help their relationship. That's the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Samantha is hired to devise a PR campaign in Abu Dhabi. She demands her girls come with her, and the 4 jet out to Abu Dhabi for a week. Upon arrival, they're put into a decadent suite. However, Samantha's hormones are confiscated and Charlotte's husband won't answer her texts. The women bum around for a while and enjoy the sights and sounds of the city. At a market, Carrie buys some shoes and leaves her passport on a counter. She becomes distracted by an old flame's unexpected appearance, Aiden. She goes out for dinner with him and they end up kissing. Devastated, Carrie tells Mr. Big immediately. He deflects the conversation and ignores her. Miranda and Charlotte bond over how hard motherhood is, with 2 full-time nannies living in their house. Samantha gets arrested for kissing and Miranda bails her out. The PR meeting is cancelled and the women have to flee the hotel before they're charged for any further days. Carrie's passport is missing and they reclaim it before a scuffle in the market with some bootleggers. Bizarre. They bond with local women over fashion, also bizarre, before they all jet home again. Back in New York, Carrie reunites with Mr. Big and they restate their vows to one another. Miranda gets a job she loves and Charlotte trusts her husband and appreciates her nanny. Samantha just keeps fucking.
Yeah,
That's
really.
it.
That was it.
That's the movie. And if it sounds strange, scattered, like
a
the
bit
overview,
loose.
Yeah, a bit loose. Like
How
it didn't
was this
really
2.5 hours?
You're right. That was the best I could do.
Yeah.
So much and so little happened the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like it took a really long time to say very little.
Yeah.
A lot of it was really just genuinely watching them have a good time on a holiday.
Yeah. And yet the film also managed to be so problematic.
Yeah.
So problematic. As you say, it has issues with sexuality. It has issues with racism.
Yeah.
Because they are four entitled white women in a different country. The way that the edit and the music was done in certain bits didn't help either. It wasn't just the writing and the direction that let it down. It was also like the editing and the music and the score. Blech.
Yeah. It's classic, like, cut to a shot of fancy buildings in the desert with the call to prayer being sung by someone in the middle distance.
Yeah.
Like that kind of weird, like, oh, this is our only vision of the Middle East.
Yeah.
And then what really got me about this movie compared to the other movies that we've watched is that, especially during the gay wedding sequence, this movie thought it was so fucking clever. So many of its lines and like its quippy dialogue, it's the way that they were referring to the gay characters. I'm like, you think you're being so fucking clever whilst you're being weird and demeaning and belittling and awful.
Let's start with the gay thing in this film, right? Because it starts with a gay wedding between her friends Andrew and Stanford, I think their names were.
Yeah.
Or Anthony and Stanford. And I'm pretty sure, again, we haven't watched the series, and I feel bad about that because I would like to come in here knowing more about the series and being able to appreciate what they did well.
Yeah.
But I can't because I never watched it. But I'm pretty sure these are reoccurring characters from the movies and from the first movie and from the series.
Yeah.
And they're getting married.
They refer to them as Carrie's gay best friend and Charlotte's gay best friend.
Yes.
That's the level we're working with.
Yes. And during the wedding, Carrie is the best man.
Yeah.
And all she does is smile adoringly because they're gay and it's legal now. And again, it's just this, it comes from a completely straight white woman's perspective of this gay marriage. And they're all talking about like, oh, how is it different to a straight wedding? Like, have you ever been to a gay wedding before? Like, this fucking movie is like, we're an ally. We get it. It's legal and it's gonna be flamboyant and beautiful and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Liza Minnelli shows up to be the celebrant at this gay wedding.
Classic.
And she does a number for them. I was thinking about how disgustingly rich these men must be to be able to hire Liza Minnelli for a full night to also perform for them.
I couldn't
That is
fathom
Judy
it.
Garland's daughter. That probably cost them like $500,000. What the fuck?
I really couldn't believe it. And also the some of the throwaway lines where they're like, oh, just when you think everyone's too old to get married, here come the gays. I'm like, this is set when it was legal in 5 US states. Like, it was illegal for them, Carrie. Shut the fuck up.
Again, I think it was just because in the late 90s when gay men were still like, I feel like we've made so much progress in the last 22 years. And when the show started, and I'm absolutely certain that the show was always accepting of gay men and gay values because this is a show about fashion and luxury and it's in New York.
Yeah.
And they are progressive and accepting. And I feel like in the show it was like groundbreaking that they were such allies.
Yeah.
But 22 years down the track, and we're watching in 2020, this was made 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't groundbreaking to be an ally. It leaves a bad taste in our mouths.
Yeah.
Stop ramming it down our throats that you accept them. Well, you just should.
It feels like they're saying that gay marriage becoming legal is really great triumph for them as straight white women.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, it's not really about you.
100%. And I feel like a lot of like rich white women accept gay men into their lives because it's that whole thing of like, I have a gay best friend. It's almost like an accessory. And it's a way to like flaunt the fact that they are like progressive and cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's really weird.
And also there was Abdul, the one of the men that waited on them in their decadent suite in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, they're personal servants that they get given by
they
the
all get
seven-star
one
hotel.
personal servant who is a man of color that follows them around.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Samantha's is a gay man called Abdul, and like they just do all these like really camp ridiculous things to show that he's
the classic
gay.
limp wrist. He's good with fashion.
Exactly. He also does a face mask with her. Like they bond. It's just, we're too far past this.
Yeah.
Gay men are not an accessory for straight white women.
Yeah. Again,
period.
Clinton administration. That's the vibe.
Let's also just touch on the racism.
I guess we gotta.
We have to. We can't skate over that.
There's so much of it.
There's so much of it.
I'm full already. I don't know if I can.
Well, that's us, folks. You've got about 20 minutes of good content here. We're wrapping this shit up because this will take all day.
It's two-sided, right? I feel like there's two particular strains of weird racism that come throughout it. One is we have one vision of what the Middle East is like, and we're going to make it that the Middle East is like this. whilst also not understanding at all what Abu Dhabi is like. And then the other side of it is, man, we're great feminists from America, and the way that we are going to save Middle Eastern women. They talk about the niqab. They talk about how oppressive it must be for them.
The disgusting way that they talk about like the actual like traditional like headscarves and dresses of these women in Abu Dhabi is gross. She also says niqab.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's niqab.
She also says Carrie, while looking at a woman in a niqab, she looks at another woman next to her who has like these what's the like a lace trim on it, and they're like, it's modernizing,
just embellished.
And she still looks uncomfortable, and then she says, I don't know, but the veil makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, that was a huge point of contention 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where a lot of white women in Australia were uncomfortable with the burqa and the niqab, and it's just straight up intolerant racism.
Yeah, it's not like that's the beginning of an arc where she comes to accept it. That's the beginning of an arc where later a bunch of women take their niqabs off for her.
Yes. Yeah, to
which
show
is
them
really
her
weird.
fashion. Yeah, absolutely. When she said that it makes her uncomfortable, I was like, wow. The film's now gone too far.
Yeah.
It's seeing a culture and a demographic of people that white people are not used to, and then just saying, I'm uncomfortable with it and I don't get it.
Yeah.
Rather than them trying to understand it.
It's surprising how much this and God's Not Dead had in common in their treatment of Muslim women.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, again, the whole thing leaves a bad taste in your mouth when it's 4 white, very rich women.
So wealthy.
Yeah. Disrespecting a lot of traditions the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just watching them be wealthy and be uncomfortable. It was so awful.
Yeah, and again, the way that they kept like littering in this weird music every time anything remotely exotic happened. Also, by the way, Samantha just hears the Arabic language and she goes, how exotic.
Yeah.
Gross.
So weird.
You're in their country. You're exotic to them.
Yeah. She picks up, Carrie at one point picks up Arabic Pringles, which is just Pringles written in Arabic. And she goes, now I'm impressed.
Oh, God. They flew first class in Emirates. And it was...
The central conflict of the third act is that they need to make it back to the airport on time. Otherwise they'll miss their flight. Otherwise they'll get bumped to coach.
Yes.
They need it to be first class.
I hate this movie.
Hate them. I really hate them.
Really, really hate them. And I have to say, not to spoil anything coming, but like the reviewers also hated them for that reason.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed reading reviews for this disgusting film. But yeah, this whole dumb film had this ridiculous, racist, and like not homophobic, but just so keen to be an ally.
Yeah.
Thing going on.
Homo uncomfortable.
Homo desperate? I don't know.
Homo pick me?
Yeah. So just fair warning to anyone that thinks they might want to embark on this film.
Don't bother with it.
Just don't do it. Don't do it at all.
Just go and watch a bunch of speeches from the Democrats in the 90s and you'll understand exactly this movie.
Let's also talk about the fashion, right? Because
yes.
Sex and the City is obviously known for its like materialism and these women that live in a high-class area of New York that are obsessed with food and fashion.
Yeah. Oh, God, that just reminded me of at the beginning where she says, Manhattan, a place founded by the Dutch and the Indians. And we're like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, the narration was fantastically bad.
Yeah.
Made me cringe every time. Carrie is a bad writer. I'm just going to say it. She's a bad writer. I would never read anything she pumped out.
No.
But her obsession with shoes, right? Because that's Carrie's big thing. She's a big shoe girl. And it keeps coming back as a motif of like Mr. Big pledging his allegiance to her. And like the shoes are always like linked in with the plot in weird ways. Like she loses her passport because she was buying shoes and they were only $20.
Wow.
And Mr. Big like proposed to her with shoes apparently in the first Sex and the City movie. Yeah. It comes back again and again. But her outfits are questionable.
Yeah, especially
all of their outfits are questionable.
Especially the one she wears to a market. She's going to a market and she's in like an 80s prom blazer.
Yeah.
With just like a black t-shirt.
And it says Adore Dior.
8. Like it's a sports shirt.
It looks like a sports shirt. And then she has this enormous, huge, protruding purple and grey skirt. And it looked gross. It looked like cheap fabric.
It's 3 outfits that are questionable at best, like put in a blender.
Yeah. And she wore that to the market. It's a weird look. Also, I think this film confuses loud fashion with good fashion.
Yeah.
But like if it's bright, vivid colors and like bold prints, that's fashion. No, it isn't.
When she's the best man, she's like dressed in a tux. And it's like, oh, okay, because it's a gay wedding and you're the best man.
And they're so different from straight weddings. Have you ever been to a gay wedding? This is wild. It's legal. I'm an ally.
Also, they make a joke at one point that they're referred to as the brooms because it's the bride and groom. There's no brides at a gay wedding.
It's just grooms.
Yeah.
You're all groomsmen.
Anyway, so she's in the tux and then she's like, I'm going to complete this outfit. And she puts on this bizarre black headdress. It's sort of like a headband meets a lace bra meets
it's a
a
headband
tiara.
with lace on it. That's what Brooke said, and it's true.
It's so ugly and I don't understand why she's wearing it. That's not a thing that the best man needs to wear.
She also wears these insane drapey gowns just around the house.
Yeah.
All the time.
She looks like she's going to like a red carpet, but not like a high tier red carpet, like the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah.
All the time.
All of them wear questionable outfits because as well, like Samantha wears a lot of glittery things. And like there's that bit where they're doing the karaoke scene where they're all just singing I Am Woman by Helen Reddy.
Yes.
And Samantha's wearing
in
this
Abu Dhabi.
In Abu Dhabi.
Isn't that amazing?
And all the other women are like, yes. And it's got this like notion that it's meant to be feminist, but I don't understand how.
Yeah.
But Samantha's wearing this red dress with like these insane glittery spiky things on her shoulders.
Yeah.
She looked like a villainous woman from Santa's Hell. That's how it looked.
Yeah, she's the new counterpart to Santa.
Yeah.
We'll replace Krampus from Central Europe with Samantha from Sex and the City too.
Yeah, just some totally questionable outfit choices in this. It's meant to be full of glamour and it's meant to be decadent. Again, it's the whole 50 Shades Freed thing where people eat this shit up because it's a lifestyle they can't obtain. They want to escape through their lives.
Yeah, but I don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm like, yeah, I get you're in Abu Dhabi in this decadent suite and you're wearing like dresses that are like $25,000, but I don't want that life.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
Wouldn't you at some point be like, I feel like I'm kind of exploiting people, right?
Yeah.
Because they are?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Also, let's talk about the sex, baby.
Okay.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Thank you. That's Louis Armstrong, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy. we really do sing a lot.
We do.
There was only 2 instances of sex. That was obviously with Samantha.
Yeah.
And both were very tame.
Yeah.
She was in missionary both times and
Yeah.
screamed a lot. I mean, I get it. I get that, Samantha.
For someone who talks about loving sex a lot, she really does just lie on her back. It's not like she's doing anything.
Yeah. And I love it. I love Samantha's sexuality. I think Samantha Jones is a wonderful character. And I'm a Samantha. I do like her and I resonate with her. But as she gets older as a character, she seems to become worse and more entitled.
Yeah.
I think that as like but even when the show started, she was like 40-something living in New York and was already working with PR. So even then she was a bit beyond unrelatable. But I do appreciate what Samantha Jones has done for a lot of women in TV, and she's normalized being sexual and being confident and being proud about it. And I really love that. And I want to take some time to thank Samantha Jones as a character, not in this film, but in the series.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim Cattrall from the 90s.
She's wonderful. I actually love Kim Cattrall so much. I think she's a really fascinating person. Apparently she was listed on like People magazine's 25 most intriguing people.
She is genuinely really cool and interesting.
She's really clever and smart.
You don't get that from this movie, but she's really kind of cool and interesting.
Apparently she was in this like 80s film called Mannequin and she had to bodybuild so she could like look like a mannequin.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's really hot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'd smash. For sure. I get it.
And that's all the time we have for things.
Do you want to hear some trivia?
I would love to hear some trivia.
So this is actually on the topic of Kim Cattrall. Occasionally she came to the set wearing a wedding dress for the benefit of the paparazzi photographers to trick the public into thinking that her character, Samantha Jones, would be getting married in the film.
That's fun.
I love that. That's so silly. She's an evil woman. That's sexy. Ugh. The government of Abu Dhabi did not allow filming calling the film too sexual. The airport, when the ladies arrive in the Middle East, is not the Abu Dhabi airport. It is the airport of Marrakesh, Morocco, famous for its architecture.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure most of the film was filmed around Morocco.
Yeah, well, I mean, them being too sexy for Abu Dhabi is a plot point.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, that stuffy Abu Dhabi, it's maybe the new Middle East, but they just don't like how sexy I am.
If in Abu Dhabi you can get arrested for kissing, which is something I found out in this film,
Yeah.
I get it, because the film is literally called Sex in the City.
Yeah.
I get that. That's fair enough. In an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, Penelope Cruz mentioned that she shot her cameo in 2 hours. She said she wanted to do it because she was a fan of the series and Sarah Jessica Parker. And I forgot that Penelope Cruz was in it at all. She's like the tiniest moment. I thought she'd be an actual character.
Yeah.
But she appears for a moment flirting with Mr. Big, and Carrie gets upset about it. That's it.
And that's sort of the beginning and end of that conflict.
This film was bananas in terms of its plot and structure. It's just insane. If this is 2 episodes of Sex and the City together, both episodes were still bad and badly structured. So I don't get it.
By the way, before you get into more trivia, we didn't talk about the big titty nanny.
Oh, the big titty nanny.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's talk about the feminism in this film.
Yeah, the feminism where they're all like, your husband's going to cheat on you with this nanny because she has big titties.
The
and that's an
audacity-
inherently immoral thing of her.
Yeah, the audacity for Samantha Jones to be the person to call out this big titty nanny. Samantha, you are sexual all the time. Let this big tittied, floppy tittied woman be.
She just has big titties.
And she doesn't wear a bra, and that's fine.
It's just a person being a person.
Well, Charlotte gets worried because she's like, what if my husband cheats with this big tittied nanny? And it's like, well, that's on your husband, not on the girl.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be dating dudes that are perving on people.
Yeah.
If it makes you uncomfortable.
That's not a moral. Also, like, why don't you trust your husband enough to not have sex with her just because she has big titties?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And then at the end, they wrap it up by being like, turns out she's gay, as if that means that she's not obtainable anymore.
I know. We see her kiss a woman and they go like, it's not about trusting your husband. It's about the fact that she's allegedly unavailable.
Yeah.
What?
And I was like, isn't the issue that Charlotte's worried that like her husband's horny for this nanny? Not that he will actually have an affair, just that he's going to perv on her all the time.
Yeah.
Because her being in a relationship with a woman will not stop that. It might just accentuate it.
Yeah.
It might exacerbate it.
What if another woman with big titties come around? What man can't help himself? He just animal boy.
He's just simple man with little penis.
He's simple man with little peenie. He look at big booby and he must. I fucking hated this movie.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was so uncomfortable. Alice Eve did not deserve that.
No.
I like her as an actress, and that sucked as a plot point.
There were several times
the big-titted nanny
where there's just a lot of slow-mo shots of her titties bouncing around.
Yeah.
It
Looks painful. As someone that also has big titties, it hurts.
I'm surprised she doesn't wear a bra. She's jumping around a lot. That sounds painful.
Please wear a bra. It's good for you in the long term.
Yeah.
It's like, not because we don't want to see it. That's fine. Do what you want. But in terms of like your boob health, which is something I'm passionate about, boob health, please wear a bra, because it's really bad for your titties if you've got big titties. That strain on them.
Yeah, when she was jumping and running around, I'm surprised she didn't have her hands on her tits.
Yeah. I can't go for runs because I haven't found a sports bra that will actually like support me properly. It hurts. So this is something we already know, but I wanted to acknowledge it. 2 comedians from New Zealand, Tim Batt and Guy Montgomery, are watching this film each week for 52 weeks as of February 2015 and discussing it for their podcast, The Worst Idea of All Time.
Yeah.
I really want to listen to that season of their podcast now, because like they're doing what we're doing in a totally different way, because they're the only podcast I can think of that are suffering more than we are.
Yeah.
And we're suffering a lot.
We are.
I watched that film one time with you and I wanted to scream. Like I wanted to put my face into a pillow and scream, and they watched it every week for a year.
I haven't listened to that season of their show, but I've listened to other episodes of their show and I fucking love it. And I love their side show they do with the McElroys, which is Till Death Do Us Blart, where they watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, a movie we'll have to watch every Thanksgiving. And they've done it for 5 years.
Holy shit. Yeah,
until they die.
That would change you as a person, watching this film every week for a year.
Yeah.
This is changing us as people, just watching different bad films each week for 5 years.
I don't know. We took 2 weeks off. Like, we recorded some episodes ahead of time and took 2 weeks off. And I, you know what? I felt myself return to normality a little bit, because this was a real shock to the system.
This was a rough start to the year, just like the actual start to the year we had. Sarah Jessica Parker has admittedly never read a single review of this film.
Good for her.
This film is also included on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he had a most hated list, but I went through it and I was like, man, if we didn't do this bottom 250 list, we should have done this one.
Well, in 5 years, we have a follow-up now.
This is true. The sequel, the spin-off show, most hated. Abigail and Michelle's most hated. But this is a good way to launch into some of the reviews. So, because I really want to touch on what Roger Ebert actually said. Rotten Tomatoes reports a 16% rotten score for this film.
Wow.
By comparison, the first film received a score of 49%, so it was a notable drop. Both were commercial successes, but critical failures, and this particular film was just absolutely disgusting.
Well, that makes sense. That's why we're here.
Correct. Roger Ebert said, "Some of these people make my skin crawl. The characters of Sex and the City 2 are flyweight bubbleheads living in a world which rarely requires 3 sentences in a row. Their defining quality is consuming things. They gobble food, fashion, houses, husbands, children, vitamins, and freebies." I love it. Critic Mike Massey wrote, "Once again, it feels gruelingly lengthy, unable to smoothly adapt several half-hour episode plotlines into a single movie."
Yeah.
Correct, Mike. Correct. This fucking review killed me. Lindy West. Have you heard of Lindy West?
No.
Feminist author, critic, wonderful
yeah.
person. Wrote a noted review of this film, saying that Sex and the City 2 takes everything that I hold dear as a woman and as a human, working hard, contributing to society, not being an entitled cunt like it's my job, and rapes it to death with a stiletto that costs more than my car. It's 146 minutes long, which means that I entered the theater in the bloom of my youth and emerged with a family of field mice living in my long white moustache. I'm obsessed. I want to read everything by Lindy West.
You know what? Don't listen to this episode. Just read those reviews.
Yeah,
They're
just
way
go
funny.
there. Toronto academic Meetu Sengupta said the film exploited women's and gay rights and pitifully turned them into badges of national honor and smug patriotic pride.
Yeah.
She wrote, "What's really worrying about Sex and the City 2 is not its orientalism or crass materialism, but how easily the seemingly benign bubblegum flick ends up fighting a very macho war of global one-upmanship on the bodies of women and gay men."
Yeah.
And
You know what? We took 20 minutes to say that same point in,
We really
in a much
did.
less eloquent way.
British critic Mark Kermode declared it as the worst film of 2010, saying he could think of nothing more poisonous, more repugnant, more repulsive, more retrograde, more depressing than Sex and the City 2.
Wow.
But here's my final review, plucked from IMDb itself.
Yes.
A 10 out of 10 review called Loved It, left by Jelly Luton.
What?
Wow. In 2010. I really don't get why this film has bad reviews. I loved it. The clothes, music, the story. I don't think this movie is better than the first one. I also have the complete series on DVD. This film has more the soul of the series than the first movie. I really, really want a third movie. Those 4 women on the big screen are just like magic. Samantha was in the movie. My favorite. She was so funny. Loved it. When the girls did the karaoke was just great. Me and my friends said, we should do that too. A few days later, we did.
Oh.
Trust me, if you want to have a great time with your friends, boyfriend or girlfriend, go and see this movie. You will love it. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Not as good as the first movie. 10 out of 10.
I have to counter that, Jelly. I wouldn't give this a 10 out of 10 myself. For me personally, this film was god awful. I couldn't get through it. I would give this is also a very low one. My scores just keep dropping. I have to bump them up a little bit. I need to give some space for what will come.
This is what I keep saying.
I know.
We're gonna get to barely
Can we go
counts
into
as a movie.
minuses?
I guess we can.
Yeah, because I want to still give this I'll give this a 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
2 out of 10.
I'm going to say I probably enjoyed this one of the least, but it meets my 2-star out of 2 out of 10 criteria of it was shot like a movie. Things happened on screen.
It felt like a movie.
Both things that Paranormal Activity 4 didn't meet.
Correct.
So, it has sound. It looks like it was colored by an adult. So, I can't give it a 0 because it was a movie. So it's a 2.
Nice.
That is still my flaw for it is a movie that is bad.
Yes. Amazing. Well, that is Sex in the City 2.
Yeah.
What are we watching next week?
Next week, we're watching Netflix's live-action adaptation of Death Note.
Oh, that's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Be a good time.
It's going to be a real, well, I don't know about good. It's going to be a time.
We are going to experience it. It's going to happen. We are contractually obliged.
Legally, you have to tell us.
Join us next week and stay sexy. And
No, cut!